find in this week's Torah portion, verse in chapter 32, verse 17. And it reads as follows, and it speaks about the severity of when the Jewish people will worship idols, unfortunately. It says as follows, Yizbehu l'ashedim lo Eloah, Elohim lo yida'um. That they would slaughter to demons without power, meaning they would bring sacrifices to other gods. Hadashim mikarov ba'u lo se'arum avotechem. Newcomers recently arrived whom your ancestors did not dread. Meaning, Bnei Israel, unfortunately, will go and seek other powers, other gods, which are unfortunately going to be dry and useless. But the terminology the Torah uses about these other gods is, it says that they're lo Eloah. Lo Eloah literally means they're not a god. You know how Rashi translates, and also Unkelus translation? It doesn't translate it as no god, or they're not a god. He translates it as they are useless, they are powerless, there's nothing to them, they're futile. And the question is, where and how? Why? Why did he alter from the explanation? So Rashi says that God was specifically angry when the Jewish people have or will worship those gods because they're so low, they're so empty. So specifically they're translating it this way to show us God is so angry when you go for something which is so low and so inferior. And to this, the Zera Shimshon brings a classic story that happened in the Talmud. It's recorded in the Talmud, Masechet Avodah Zarah, that Agrippas the general came to Rabban Gamliel and he asked him, your God, as it says in your Torah, is a jealous God, correct? Rabban Gamliel says, yes, correct. He says, very interesting. A wise man is only jealous of another wise man. And a wealthy individual is also jealous from another wealthy individual. And a powerful individual is only jealous of another powerful individual. You never saw a wealthy individual walk by a poor person and be jealous of them. Or a very smart person walk by a dummy and say, oh, I'm so jealous. No, it doesn't work that way. So if you're telling me your God is a jealous God, it means that there's power to the other gods. Agrippas tells Rabban Gamliel. Rabban Gamliel says, great question. Listen to this parable. There was once a man who was married to a woman. And some time passed, and the man took a second wife while he was married to the first wife. And he asks, when will that first wife be more jealous? Will she be more jealous if the second wife was smarter, better looking, better character traits? Or will she be more jealous if she's uglier, she's not as smart, she's a mean woman? Which one will she be more jealous for? And the answer is to the later, to the second one. You know why? Because if the husband takes a second wife, which either way the first one's not going to be happy, but she'll at least understand, okay, if she has all these better qualities than me, okay, I could somewhat understand. I don't like it, but I could somewhat understand it. But for my husband to take this second good-for-nothing, no qualities at all of a woman, she's even more jealous. And that's what Rabban Gamliel answered to Agrippas. You know why God is a jealous God? It doesn't mean he's jealous because there's other powers over there. No, he's jealous because how could the Jewish people who are married to me resort and stoop so low to inferior, powerless, useless gods of the nations? That's the first part. So from here, we conclude that something inferior to God, God is jealous about. Now we're going to bring a midrash that proves the opposite. Okay? The midrash says, after the Jewish people sinned with the golden calf, I will quote to you what Moshe Rabbeinu tells God. Moshe Rabbeinu says, Vayomer, lama Hashem yichre apecha be'amecha. God, why are you so angry at them? You took them out of Egypt with all of your might and power and a strong hand. Please don't be so angry at them. On this, the Midrash says, there was another conversation going on between God and Moses at that time. And it was as follows. God comes to Moses and says, we're wiping them clean. Moses says, no, please don't. Hashem says, we're doing it, it's done. Moshe Rabbeinu says, Hashem, let me explain you that the sun obviously gives off light and power, and the moon receives it from the sun and has its power as an extension of the sun. When stars are moved, there's an extension. The constellations are also altered because of that. And when dew comes down, it gives the power for the winds to blow. And he says, based on that, Bnei Israel, they resorted to the golden calf with the intention as it being an extension of your power. You are the almighty and powerful. The golden calf is an extension. God says you made a big mistake. You're right about the sun. You're right about the stars. You're right about the dew. But you made a big mistake about the golden calf. The golden calf has no power at all. So Moshe Rabbeinu answers God, aha, so if the golden calf is powerless and has no power at all, so they didn't do anything. Forgive them. And God concedes. So from this midrash we learn that when something is inferior to God, He is not jealous. So let's repeat. From Rabban Gamliel, the Talmud, as well as Rashi on our verse, something inferior to God, God's jealous about. But according to Moshe Rabbeinu, based on the Midrash, something inferior to God, He's not jealous. You're right, it's powerless, it's useless. So which one is it? Something inferior to God promotes jealousy by God or not? So sometimes the Zera Shimshon answers. He says, really? Any type of idol worship, any cheating on God promotes jealousy by God. Even, and all the more so, the inferior. So how do we explain Moshe Rabbeinu? He says as follows. Moshe Rabbeinu was coming as a lawyer. He was just trying to make peace between God and the Jewish people. He was trying in any way possible to justify their mistake. So he comes and says, Hashem, the Jewish people were left without a leader. I was up in Shamayim receiving the Torah. They miscalculated the time. I come down and they were craving a leader. Why were they craving a leader? They were craving a messenger, a liaison between you, God, and them. So I was gone. They took the calf. And they took the golden calf. They took all their gold. They threw it in the fire. Out came a golden calf. And they used the calf as an intermediate between you and them. So don't punish them. So when God answers, it was powerless and useless. So Moses says, they didn't really do much. So forgive them. But nevertheless, when Bnei Israel are going to be seeking idols or other gods and worship them when they get to Eretz Yisrael or even later, that's not going to be because they're trying to look for a connection to God. And to that, and all forms of idol worship, besides for the golden calf actually, are all inferior to God, powerless, useless, yet it still causes God to be jealous. And it's as Rabban Gamliel said, Moses was a one-of case. Moses was just trying to come to make peace. We learn from here that we should always try as much as possible to be committed to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. as spouse to spouse. As we know, Matan Torah was Hashem and the Jewish people being married with the ketubah. What was the ketubah? The Torah itself. And based on what it says in the Torah is how a relationship between the man and woman, between Hashem and Bnei Israel, will be as successful as possible. Again, He created the world. He created everyone and everything inside the world. And He wrote us a manual. Just like in marriage. If we look at a ketubah, it says exactly in the ketubah what a husband needs to do for his wife. And if he does so, the marriage is good. And vice versa. And if not, well, those are the rules. So God gave us the rules for us, for our relationship with Him. So there's no need to turn away. And when unfortunately we do turn away, Hashem unfortunately is jealous and comes down hard on the Jewish people. That Hashem HaKadosh Baruch Hu will help us and guide us to always be faithful to Him in order that He will always bless us, give us success, happiness, health, and a lot of beracha. Amen.